You're listening to the AstroMommy Newsletter read-aloud version of my daily horoscope published on Substack. If you would like to read this, please click on the link in the description box below. Without further ado, here is the daily horoscope.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Moon in Leo square Uranus and opposite Saturn, the Sun and Venus square Pluto. Daily horoscope for Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. Welcome to the AstroMommy Newsletter, a daily horoscope that hopes to shine a light in the dark, helping us all see where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. The AstroMommy Newsletter is a reader-supported publication, meaning it only thrives thanks to the generous support of lovely people just like you. The two best ways you can support my work are to share this newsletter with a friend and to consider upgrading to a paid subscription. Whether you're a first-time reader or a long-time subscriber, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate you being in my community. I hope you enjoyed today's horoscope and card reading. Blessings. Good morning, friends. Thank you for your patience today. Some days the prose comes quickly, like a sled sliding down a snowy hill, and other days it feels like I am dragging the sled up the hill, trying to get to the top so I can slide back down again. Yesterday was a dragging the sled up the hill kind of day, but this morning I was whizzing down the hill again. I was looking back in the archive of the AstroMommy Newsletter to see if I wrote about the transit we're about to discuss for today, earlier in the year, but I wasn't writing horoscopes that early on. What I did find, though, was that the AstroMommy Newsletter has evolved into a much longer, more detailed post that includes pictures, a tarot reading, and an audio version. It was kind of cool to realize how far it's come and how much has changed. For those of you who have been with me since the very beginning, I really appreciate you sticking around through all the changes as I've tried to find my voice. Writing a daily horoscope is something I never thought that I was capable of, and it has been an interesting ride that has been all the things: exciting, terrifying, challenging, yet rewarding, and has definitely spawned some personal growth. I truly hope that you have found it helpful. And if you find value in the daily horoscope, please share it on social media and hit the little heart to show that you enjoyed it. These actions help the newsletter to grow, and it helps the Substack algorithm recommend the daily horoscope to new readers. I started writing a daily horoscope on April 24th, 2022, so we are coming up on the 6-month mark, and it's neat to see how this space and community has evolved. Thank you for your subscription, thank you for reading every day, and thank you for commenting, hitting the like button, and sharing the newsletter online. I really appreciate all the support and hope to be able to keep writing the daily horoscope and make it to the 1-year anniversary next April. Okay, let's get into the astrology. The moon in Leo today will square the nodes and then square Uranus in Taurus and oppose Saturn in Aquarius. The moon in Leo wants to have fun, be creative, and be content in her circumstances, but Saturn shows us where the restrictions, boundaries, and limitations are. Today could feel kind of sucky as we try to bring some lighthearted energy into the mix and are met with nothing but obstacles. We could also have the desire to rebel and break free from these restrictions and say F you to Saturn and his rules, but that may not result in what we want in the long run. So I would be careful of that tendency to want to just say screw it and do whatever you want, even though you know that there will be a negative ripple effect. Saturn is about to station direct over the weekend, and Saturn likes to test us and judge whether or not we pass his tests. So if you let yourself get caught up in feelings of entitlement, self-importance, or bravado, it could backfire on you, and instead of moving forward, the blast could send you backward. This morning, the Sun makes a square to Pluto at 9:33 a.m. Eastern Time, and Venus will square Pluto tomorrow. Let's not forget that the Sun and Venus are about to conjunct over the weekend as well. So these transits are happening back to back, and it could be hard to separate the two energies. The Sun square Pluto energy is about shining a huge spotlight into the darkest corners of society, as well as yourself. This would naturally illuminate things in society like corruption, coercion, power, hunger, enslavement, and mafia-style tactics. Within your own life, you may experience deep or dark feelings and a feeling of being forced to look at things you are afraid of. On a positive note, you could experience a healing purgation of shame and guilt. With hard Sun-Pluto aspects, we will often see, hear about, or personally experience a death of a solar figure, like a celebrity, a famous politician, or a leader of a country, but this could also be a father figure or important person in one's life. While Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008, the Sun has been making squares to it during the Aries and Libra seasons each year, so March, April, and September, October, with the annual opposition happening during Cancer seasons in June and July. During Sun-Pluto transits, we also see many gruesome and disturbing things come up in the news. I am not going to list all the news stories that I am seeing that match this transit because then it would just fill my newsletter up with gory, horrible stuff, and that's not what I want to do here. But here are a couple that highlights what I'm talking about. Screaming passengers spot rogue snake on United Airlines flight in Newark. That would be scary. 4 dismembered men pulled from river were on their way to commit major crime. These 2 articles are very different. One's about facing a fear, a loose snake on a plane, and the other is about really dark and gruesome crimes. But they both illustrate some of the crazy stuff that happens during a Sun-Pluto transit. I think this planetary combination shines a light on our fears and on the darkest parts of humanity. I am seeing many news stories about murder, kidnappings, multiple crimes, deaths, and of course brutalities of war right now. It's not hard to spot this transit in the news. My teacher, Adam Ellenboss, said in his recent video on YouTube about this transit that it is possible during a Sun-Pluto transit to find peace and rejuvenation in the dark. He told a story about his dad, who was a pastor, needing to retreat to a dark room that he had decorated with glow-in-the-dark stars to basically meditate in order to fill himself back up after a day of talking to people, hearing their situations, and being there emotionally for so many people. Adam said something that I thought was so beautiful and that I think shows a positive side of this transit. He said, quote, "Deep, dark, rich places give us light." And, quote, "Some of the things that shine the brightest can't make sense or can't be found unless they're set in right alongside darkness. Stars are only wonderful because it's so deep and so dark. It's like you're looking not so much up and out, sometimes as it feels like you're standing, looking into a deep cavern that's filled with small lights. That underworld perspective is so healing, and we need that," unquote. Immediately, the song, The Sound of Silence, covered by Disturbed, started playing in my head. This song is originally by Simon and Garfunkel. I have linked both below. If you've never heard the Disturbed version, I would encourage you to give it a listen because it's evocative. Both versions, I feel, encompass what Adam was alluding to quite beautifully. The first verse is especially what came to mind. "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and a vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence." The rest of the lyrics are at the bottom of the newsletter. Along these same lines of seeing beauty in the darkness, I am reminded of the scene in Harry Potter in the Deathly Hallows Part 2, where Harry is killed, or rather, the last part of Voldemort is killed, and he finds this naked and bloody form in the fetal position under a bench at King's Cross Station. Dumbledore then appears, and he and Harry take a walk, and Harry discovers that the form was the last piece of Voldemort's soul. Voldemort, who is so evil, yet this piece of him that was attached to Harry had saved and protected Harry on multiple occasions. So there's a sort of beauty and redemptive quality to this dark part of Harry that he feels both detached from because it's literally not part of his own soul, but also feels love and gratitude towards, as well as compassion for, this lost soul. I think within the Sun opposite Pluto, there could be great compassion for the lost souls in our world who lose their way. When we move on to Venus square Pluto, the news can get even more twisted and dark because we often see the exploitation of women, sex trafficking, and the dark side of the entertainment industry show up. One doesn't have to do a very deep search to find news stories that fit this transit, so I won't share any of them here today. Themes to watch for in your personal life that come from Venus square Pluto would be transformations in relationships, being madly in love or fatal attraction, sexual compulsivity, emotional disappointments, a love affair or the end of a love affair, and the death of someone you love or have felt great attachment towards, most oftentimes a woman. Earlier this year, Venus conjoined Pluto in Capricorn and then went retrograde in Capricorn and ended up passing over Pluto 3 times. This happened back in January through March of this year, so you may want to think back to the first quarter of 2022. You may experience things that need to be cleared up or worked through in your life around some of those same themes during this Venus square Pluto. So today and tomorrow could be intense in our personal lives and in the world around us. Deep emotions may surface or be illuminated, and we could come face to face with our fears, our anxieties, and the dark corners of our life. Remember that these situations bring up opportunities for healing and spiritual growth. We can have compassion for our dark sides and find strength from facing those parts of ourselves we normally keep hidden away. With the moon making an opposition to Saturn today at the same time as the sun and Venus square Pluto, I think this may give us the courage and the strength to act responsibly and keep ourselves safe. Stay away from dangerous situations today. We may know that things need to change in our circumstances or our environments, but it's all about playing your cards right. Like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, he had a strategy and he had the courage to implement it, and it worked out in his favor in the end, but it took great resolve, sacrifice, and commitment. Jupiter is at 0 degrees Aries 50 minutes and will be moving back into Pisces on October 28th, 2022, so it's not time to relax yet. Keep vigilant, keep the faith, and stay strong. Something we have to look forward to at the end of the week is the Orionid meteor shower, which I think is very fitting with all these transits. Something beautiful like shooting stars coming out of the darkness. Let's move on to the card for the day. What is the guidance for today? 8 of Wands, reversed. On this card, we see 8 sprouted wands flying quickly through the air. In the upright position, this card would be about movement, fast action, travel, and quick changes, but in the reverse position, it means staying still, a lack of action, and resisting change. It also indicates frustration due to delays. I feel that this card is indicating that today is a day that we may want the energy to move very quickly. We may really want a change, and one that happens fast, but this card, in the reverse position, is about slowing down and taking the time to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. If you don't take the time to do this, something important may be missed in your enthusiasm to take action. This card could also indicate resistance to change. Maybe you know that you have to do something differently, but you are hesitating in some way. So in this instance, the card is saying to try different routines, locations, or activities to get the energy moving again. Another thing that this card symbolizes in the reverse position is to try to stay focused on one task at a time, one project at a time, or one goal at a time. It is easy to start doing something and get an inspiration to do something else, and then you completely drop the first thing you were doing and switch your focus to the new idea you had. But then while you are doing that, you have yet another idea and switch your focus again. This is frustrating because you end up having a lot of ideas, projects, and goals that you started, but nothing finished, and therefore you can't reap the rewards of any of them. So slow down, and like Ice Cube says, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Let me know if this reading resonates with you in the comments. I hope this is helpful. Until tomorrow, AstroMommy.
Today's horoscope is brought to you by the Moon and Leo square the nodes, Uranus and opposite Saturn, the Sun and Venus square Pluto. Quick links and resources can be found at the bottom of the newsletter. Today's tarot card was pulled from the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot, available on Amazon. If you purchase anything through the affiliate links that I provide in the newsletters, I will make a small commission, but there are no additional costs to you. I don't share or recommend things that I don't 100% believe in and use myself. Thanks for listening.